Hi guys, do you also struggle when you're trying to find the relation between lots of different sources when you're doing a research or you're trying to find and learn a new topic? Have you ever asked questions from LLM but you find the results are groundingly wrong? And this happened a lot, and it's very important when it is some specific topics, for example about law, about your code, or about an important tax information or so on. If you're already familiar with NotebookLM, don't skip this video because I'm going to talk about the hacks and the tips that you can use and the best practices to get the most out of NotebookLM. I'm Pedram again. I have a PhD in computer science, and you're going to see some insight from someone that has this knowledge to get the most out of this NotebookLM and how it is compared against other LLMs like ChatGPT, and what's the difference between hallucination and how you can get grounding results. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Before we dive into demo, I want to talk about when is the best time to use NotebookLM. And for that, we need to know some topics like hallucination. Hallucination happens when you incentivize an LLM to provide creative responses. For example, when you are asking a question from an LLM, if it doesn't know the answer, it tries to generate some results that are not necessary to you. This might be cool and good in some cases when you want to have some creative and out-of-the-box thinking, but in some cases, as we mentioned, it is very important for you that you don't have any hallucination, and that's where NotebookLM is very important. How I try to solve this problem is to minimize the model effort in order to generate and being creative, so it always try to find the information that are grounded. So we already have talked about some different topics like RAG, retrieval augmented generation. We try to pass some related information, and it tries to generate answer based on solely on the given information. As I mentioned, NotebookLM try to improve the efficiency at the cost of creativity, but that's if what you really want. Definitely NotebookLM is very important, and it's good to know that NotebookLM actually is acquired by Google. Make sure to watch until the end because I will give you some tip in some special cases that requires more thinking and more ability. I will teach you how you can get the best result out of that. So for this, I'm just gonna check NotebookLM. It is completely for free. I'm gonna try that. What we're gonna do, we want to create a new one. So as you just open, you're gonna see that it asks you to upload source. The topic that I'm gonna choose for this is actually vibe coding. So what you can do is that you can have obviously PDF. So I have this vibe coding the PDF. I've downloaded it. So when I download it in here and try to upload these sources, so I'm gonna choose this, and as soon as you upload, you're gonna see that it will create a very short summary of what was this topic about, and it also populate the whole topic, and then it will mark it as selected. You can also try to add more concept. For that, I'm gonna choose YouTube, and in my previous video I actually talk about vibe coding, so let's also add that as one of our resources. So we're gonna do that, and you see that you can actually insert the different resources into it, and then it's try to find a connection between them and try to retrieve the information to you from all of the sources that are selected. And another one is that we can do from some website. You can just click the link, add in here, and then for example in the website link you're gonna paste the URL. And sometimes if it doesn't work, same as for example for Medium website, what you can see is that it will try to generate some responses that it says it has an error. So if that happens, same as this, what you can do is that you can just try to get the text. So you're gonna say that copy text, and you're gonna come and select everything, and then you're gonna paste it in here. So it is an alternative approach. So as an example, I'm gonna ask what is the best language to start learning a vibe code, a specific sources that was required in order to generate the response. And so here is from this resource, and here is from this resource. And then, for example, if you click on it, it will get you back to the specific point that it was about that source guide. Whenever you find the response and you see that, okay, this is actually very important, and you want to basically save the result, make sure to save to notes. So why is this important? Because NotebookLM actually mentioned that they're not going to use the data for any training purposes, so everything is completely private, and for that reason nothing is actually saved. So when you actually refresh this, everything is going to be gone. So what you don't want is that you don't want your response or the results that you get to be gone, so you can actually add your note in here. All of the notes are actually going to be available here, and what you can do is that you can actually convert your notes into a separate sort. As we mentioned, one of the best way to tackle a very hard problem is to break it down into some steps, and what you can do, you get some response, and then you want to use the response later on. So this is actually how it can happen in here. So I'm gonna click on it, and then I can convert it to source, so it will generate and have this one as my resource, so I can use it later on. And a very important tool in here is the capability to generate them to podcasts. There are some cases that you don't want to read and you want to just listen to it. So in this case, let's try to select some of these cases. I'm gonna select only these ones, and then based on that, I'm gonna generate a conversation. While we are waiting for that, we can actually see the response on X that NotebookLM mentioned that they are actually powered by Gemini 2.5 Flash. First, let's take a look at audio.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into something pretty wild that's changing how software gets made. Vibe coding.
Right.
It's this idea where you basically just tell an AI what you want a program to do, in plain English, and poof, it tries to build it.
Exactly. It potentially makes programming accessible to, well, almost anyone.
Which is huge. So we're digging into this AI first way of creating software.
And then there's also another way that is very cool, which is basically the interactive mode. That's basically when you want to change the narrative of the speak to some specific question that you might have. And I think it's actually very incredible to have. Let's take a look at this one in here.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into something pretty wild that's changing how software gets made. Vibe coding.
Right.
It's this idea where you basically just tell an AI what you want a program to do, in plain English, and poof, it tries to build it.
Exactly.
Oh, hey, I think our listeners got something to say.
Yeah, I want to know, where are the use cases of vibe coding? Is it just applicable to prototyping, or can it be also used to productionize AI applications?
That's a really insightful question.
Yeah, a key point for sure.
Based on what we've looked at, vibe coding definitely shines for prototyping.
Getting those initial ideas off the ground quickly.
Exactly. You can describe a basic app, and the AI can generate a rough version.
But you're right to ask about production.
Now let's take a look at the pro tip in here, how we can make this NotebookLM even more powerful and asking some question that is beyond its capability. So the first thing is that obviously we need to have the resources somehow. So what we can do is that we're gonna go over the resources that are important to us. We don't necessarily want to copy the whole main text. However, if you want, you can do, but be aware of the limitation. The limitation of basically NotebookLM is 25 million words. That's basically 5,000 words per sources, and you have 50 sources per notebook. And if you want to know roughly what's that going to look like, that's going to be around 2,000 pages of the book, so it's going to be more than the size of a book. It's definitely very huge, but if you move to some other like Gemini, OpenAI, it's going to be reduced. So for that, we're going to look at a summary, or maybe even based on this suggestion, we can ask about the key topics, which are this. So I can click on it, and then it can generate the key topics on that. You come back to Gemini. So you're going to search gemini.google.com. It is also available for free for some trials. And then you're going to ask this prompt. So answer this question solely based on the provided resources. You're going to ask your question inside this. So it's a good practice to have these tags that separate your content from the questions, and then you have the resources in here. So you can put the resources in here. If you have one, you can put one. If you have multiple, you can put multiple. And then here you can ask your task basically that requires more implication or more thinking when answering. And as you can see here, we have 2.5 Pro experimental, which is basically the latest model. And there you have it, guys. We went over NotebookLM, how is it different from the other LLMs, and what are the best tips and practices to get the most out of it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, more importantly, subscribe to the channel. If you have an idea that you want to implement, or you want to learn about vibe coding, a new way of programming that's going to shape the future, I am creating a series of content about vibe coding and give you a practice example on how to get the most out of it and how you can start building it. For that, you can join the waitlist. I put the link in the description. Then you get the content faster and in a discount. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to watch this video that I talk about vibe coding basics, or you can watch this video that I talk about Firebase Studio and how you can make full stack development with that. Thanks for watching, and see you until the next one.